and just like looking good. Hi everyone. So thank you so much for coming out. My name is Summer, and I founded this in 2015, originally as a co-production with Art House Productions. And as I said in my pre-show speech, this is our first year as an independent company, and it's been so exciting. For those who are maybe unfamiliar with our mission and who came here for the first time, Thinking in Full Color is an organization devoted to sharing stories by women of color, which we do through theatrical events as well as educational events. So we do this in full color every year, featuring works by women from across the country. And we also tour colleges and community centers. Most of the women you saw who performed today was performing a piece that they had written themselves. Although we do have a few people who are performing something by someone who is not here. Most frequently it tends to be a writer who is out of state. So this year, Alicia was doing a piece by Eloisa Perez Lozano, who's from Texas. We did a piece by somebody from Maryland. I did a piece by my sister who actually performed the first 3 nights, and she's from Minneapolis. So people from everywhere. We're going to go around the circle, and everyone's just going to tell you guys their name, a little bit about themselves and their piece. Do you want to start this off?
My name is Samira. I'm from Bangladesh, and I'm a journalist and a poet based in New York. My piece was, as Summer mentioned in the intro, was a tribute specifically to Zulhaz Mannan, who was an editor of the country's first LGBT magazine, and he was killed by Islamist militants. And in Bangladesh, one of the biggest crises is freedom of expression, with Islamist extremists attacking a lot of free thinkers and writers. Zulhaz Mannan was the only one who I knew personally, and I'd actually visited him in his living room 2 months before he was killed, right where he was killed, which is why this is a very personal experience for me. So thank you for being here. And thanks to Thinking of Full Color for featuring it.
I'm Bastian. I did not write the piece that I performed. It was actually written by this amazing poet. Her name is Tina Indrusti. But we are both Indonesian American, and we're both first generation. And when Summer had sent me the piece, everything about it is something that I experienced, and it was immediately personal. And as an actor, especially a woman of color who's an actor, you don't really get to find many opportunities where you get to portray yourself. And that's something that I used to joke about all the time when people would ask me, oh, what's your dream role? And I would say, a normal person, like someone like me. So this is the first time I've ever actually gotten to play someone that's exactly like me, where I didn't create the opportunity for myself. So I'm so grateful to be here, and so grateful that I could do it. And I'm grateful for you guys for showing up and supporting women in theater.
I'm Eileen Ramos. I'm Filipino-American, and I'm bipolar. I had 3 psychoses, one at 19, then 21, then 23. I'm 30 now, I just turned 30 yesterday. Was my debut at In Full Color. I did a monologue on my mental illness called Psychotic Break. And this year was a lot more focused. I thought about relationships and love, how I've never been in love, how I don't think anyone would love me because of my conditions, because I am mentally ill. I don't know when I'll go crazy again. Hopefully never again, but it's a lifetime illness, a chronic illness, and I have to face it every day. So those struggles I had I kept them in my head, and Summer's platform allowed me to actually speak openly, and I would never have become as strong of a mental health advocate without Summer. So I am thankful for her and her words and her encouragement. She definitely helped me become a stronger person, I would say, and definitely more vocal about my mental illness issues.
I love you, Eileen.
Hello. My name is Angela. The piece I did was by a trans woman named Yasmin, who lives in California. I did my best with it. But the piece actually made me look at a lot of things that trans women go through. And thank you so much for inviting me to be part of it.
Thank you for being here. Sorry. I'm Summer. You guys are probably bored of seeing me and hearing me talk. I'm so interesting, so let me continue. I am mostly Asian, but I also have ties to Hispanic culture. And I founded this because I was just tired of being an actress who, like B said, couldn't find things that, roles that I could, one, even audition for, two, that weren't like total obvious caricature stereotypes of Asian people, and three, that I really believed in. And then this has turned into so much more, and a movement that's more about, you know, feminist and racial issues that are really important to talk about. I did a few things. I did we did a piece by Tatiana Figueroa Ramirez from Baltimore, Maryland. She actually came up yesterday, which was a lot about how women are the mother of everything, and that also turns into victim blaming, and women create life but are also blamed for death. And then I also did a piece today by my sister, who is in the first 3 shows, and she just flew out, I'm so sad. She's from Minneapolis. She's 14 years old. I think she wrote that piece when she was 13, and it's so magnificent and powerful, and it's about her biracial identity. So I was kind of cheating a little bit. I try to get people as close to like represent the writer when I cast them. And I was like, I'm not biracial really, but my dad is the same person, so I feel like I'm pretty qualified to read this piece. Yeah.
I go under the stage name Liliane, which is basically a sort of a forgiveness toward everybody that has ever brought up each of the sentiments you guys have heard in the piece. Because I have had a person or a group of people literally address each of the things I touch on. So I wanted to be able to convey that it's not necessarily about forgiving somebody by how you feel, but about trying to not accept this behavior for the future.
Hi y'all, my name is Glennifer. Pronouns are she, her, and hers. Losing my voice. My work is that of a psychologist. I work at New Jersey City University. I'm the coordinator of the Peer-Educated Peers program that is bomb and amazing. I do a bunch of other things on campus. I teach classes and run groups. I'm also an activist, I'm also an organizer, I'm a daughter, I'm a cat mama, I'm a friend, I love Zumba. And yeah, I think this piece for me is like the merging of like breaking down of like the third dimensional world into the new fifth dimension of spirituality, which is like my past lives merging very clearly with my present self. And it's very much an ode to rage, which I do a lot of research and work on. I think that rage is very healthy. I think it's very healing. I think it needs to be dealt with, felt, heard in a safe, contained environment, like not hurting people. But I think that if we don't feel it and we don't allow it to come through, it will consume us. And sometimes it doesn't look pretty, and sometimes it looks very quiet. The other thing I just want to say is that my piece is also about as a Black woman, as an Afro-Latina, as a woman of color, as a queer-identified woman, like I think it's really important for us to be able to have that rage, particularly to the colonizers, particularly the people that have taken away things that have been ours. So I feel like the women here have all said that in different ways about like trying to fit into roles and get what they need, but I'm tired of waiting and getting what I need, so my way is just telling you what the fuck I need and how I'm gonna get it. With love.
I'm Stephanie Dinsae. I am a classicist. It's not often that you see like Black people who study like ancient Rome and ancient Greece, but I like have been doing this since I was in high school, and I decided to pursue it. And what I'm focused on doing is really just finding like the intersections of Blackness, but also like just classical mythological stories, and like I'm also really interested in Reclamation. So like my poem, Ode to Medusa, is like something that I really love. Like I love like the image of Medusa, and like I like want to go further and like eventually create more poems that like touch on like Blackness, like intersect with like classical myth, and yeah.
Hello everyone. Hello. So my name is Glennifer. I am a bad bitch. So I'm born and raised in Jersey City, 20 years accountant. I'm a peer educator and peers educating peers at New Jersey University. Gender is my coordinator. Major in women and gender studies and minor in creative writing. My piece, Ain't I a Woman, which is titled with like 3 stars because this piece is inspired by Beyonce. Promise. I wrote this piece randomly at the middle of the night at the summer of 2017. I wrote it under 10 minutes. It's solely about like I am a Black trans woman of color. Express myself with a non-binary identity. I've been dealing this with all of my life, not feeling like this perception of manhood or feeling these patriarchal systems. It just did not work for me. But like I learned that seeing women, trans women like Jen Pop and Laverne Cox and many of these and Cat Black, many of these different women, like teaching me about gender and like how we have been brainwashed of this binary. Only men have penises and only women have vaginas. Like that binary is like all bullshit. I'm just like feel some sort of belief, but like have to come a lot of acceptance, come from a lot of denial, etc., etc. So I really wrote this piece about my journey, like no matter what I look like, no matter what stage I'm in my transition, no matter like if I'm bald-headed or wearing this nice wig that I got from Kansas Beauty Supply Store in Jackson. No matter what, I am a woman. I am a trans woman, and no white man, no Black man, not even a woman of color who has been brainwashed can take that away from me. Also, I want to say, my piece is not only just about towards trans women, it's also towards women who may have had extra hair on their body, who don't fit into those standards of like what patriarchy has made, like that long hair, the blue eyes, the perfect skin, that curvy body. It's just gotta stop. It's all bullshit. Everyone is different. We all should, like, no matter how, like, even if your preference is your preference, like, we all deserve to coexist. We all deserve to be badass as possible. The attraction is not needed. Our attraction is needed to ourselves.
Hi, my name is Marcy. I just want to say thank you for having this bravery, because I feel like these voices and these stories are really important. As a survivor of sexual violence and a lot of abuse that I wish had never happened, protecting girlhood, protecting children, just protecting my community is a very big priority in everything that I do. So I write and I write poems, and I guess they just become songs, and I hope that whoever listens to them and whoever feels love can heal from them. And I think that, just the fact that everyone's here listening and like taking a seat and willing to be in this room with everyone, like that's such a huge, beautiful gift. So I just want to thank everybody for being here and for listening and receiving with your hearts.
Let's go back to Alicia. Sorry, that's so much. It seems very sentimental. I'm Alicia Rivas. Summer and I actually went to high school together, but we didn't really know each other in high school, and then the universe put us back together, and then we've been working together. This is my second year coming back to Thinking in Color. This piece that I performed was not mine, but I could definitely relate because I've had thick guys for forever. It's not that much of a problem to me of the piece, so I had to make that real for me, but and it just goes to show that we all have, like, that insecurity compared to everybody else's story was, small, but it really isn't. Like, it's really big. Like, that will stop people from going outside or wearing a skirt or wearing this or, and if you don't really feel good inside or, like, when you walk out the house, you're miserable. So it's to speak that these little things that you think are little, no, they're big, and you should say something, and you should just, learn how to love yourself in whatever state that you are. And I also do some music. I go by Ali de Leon. I'm coming out with an EP very soon in Spanish. I just want to say thank you, and it's so beautiful that like Mercy said, that you guys can sit down and listen to us and just take it in and be inspired, because this world is crazy. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and just to sit and feel each other's pain, it's really important. And I feel like it's part of the healing process where we could say, I'm not necessarily going through exactly what you're going through, but I can feel the pain, and I have this pain with this situation, and it's just, I feel like the more that we realize that we're more alike than different, the better that we will be as a community, as a world. So, thank you. This cast is so awesome. Really quickly, two things. First, I want to say Happy Pride. I'm so mad I couldn't go to see Pride. This is like the queerest cast we've had in 4 years. I was like, who is not gay? I'm like so confused. I was like, this is amazing, which I feel really happy about. Because also, I think in previous years, people were like, what about queer representation? I'm like, it's here, we're just not talking about our queerness. Like, there would always be people on stage, but not talking about it. So it's cool that we have some pieces that address it, and definitely, I think most of the people here are queer. And also a lot of the women who submitted from across the country are up as well. And I was just like, wow, this is just like the best gay cast in the world. And the other thing I wanted to say was this, for anyone who's seen the previous years, this was I feel like this was the most serious year we've had so far, with a lot of pieces addressing huge issues and being more of a serious tone. But I think that if you look at the world, look at the news, and that's like, I think that I had comic relief. I was like, I've had comic relief, but it's like, I feel like, this is the time for it. It's the time to stand up, and it's like, when we were choreographing the opening, and I was sitting in the audience to watch everyone, make sure it all looked nice, and I was like, when the third person came out, I was like, I feel it, and because that's how I feel. Like, I feel like I just want to stare down America and be like, how dare you do all of these things to us and to everyone. Anyway, so this is us. Does anyone have any questions? No, great. Let's go home. No. I guess I want to ask everyone kind of, or I'll just put out a question. If somebody has an answer, you can just raise your hand and speak. Obviously, each of us is sharing something about somebody of our own background that we can really relate to. But seeing your sisters now and your fellow women perform, what's something that you've learned about another culture or another point of view that you didn't know before, even as a woman of color?
I would say how spiritually connected we all are, more than anything, because we all have ancestors, and being of color, we tend to, I don't know, like say, I'm from this part of the world, and I'm from that part of the world, but at the end of the day, like, our ancestors, all of our ancestors had to go through some shit, and to be spiritually aware of that is still in us, and it passes down, and we're connected in that way, is so big. Like, that's something that was like, wow, like, like, we're sisters, like.
It's like, not that I haven't thought about these things, but I think I don't see many opportunities for people to talk about their experiences. And I think that's the best part about it. It's like I never get to see Asian people talking about things like mental health issues. Like that's something that never gets addressed, like things like that. Just seeing a lot of experiences represented, I think, has been the most important part of this entire process, because it lets you know that they exist, and it gives them an opportunity to be heard, and that's really, really, really important, because there's just like nowhere else where this is happening. And like that, I think that's what I've taken from the entire.
Yeah, I would like to co-sign what we just spoke. Definitely to hear everyone else's experience and their approaches is just really healing for me. I know for me it's definitely very healing because there's this system of oppression called colorism that is rooted in the enslavement of Africans. And because of white supremacy, everyone's closest to whiteness in terms of skin color, hair texture, etc., is like part of it is like closer to like humanity, closer to like that power and things like that. So like I know growing up and like in my healing work, working on my shit. It's just me addressing that trauma and that abuse that I had from the lighter skinned folks in my life, but at the same time, knowing that we all had a struggle and appreciated those struggles, so I can look at the privileges in the history of Asian people, how they contribute to colorism, but at the same time, still have that empathy and that love for Samira, Eileen, Alicia, Ryan, Jen, like what did they do? And Mercy. Still have that love, that empathy, and like that community. That's just that acceptance and that awareness and that love.
Just to add to that, like for me, I think the most powerful moment in the show was realizing, I think after our first show, was that there was one line from everyone's poem that I could relate to personally, and that for me, I was trying to like make a mental note of like writing it down, just because of how I just couldn't, because every one of our pieces were our own experience of someone with the same background, and there are like nuances in that, but then the fact that there was one line from everyone that hit me so close to home that I could relate to was really important.
That's really cool. How are we doing on time? Doug, you were the master of time.
4:44.
4:44? Okay, I guess we'll do maybe one more question. Or Todd, you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all the performances. For those actors who performed a piece that wasn't their own, I'm wondering what, if anything, would you modify to make the piece a little bit more closer to your own.
Way to go. The person who wrote my piece is Liliane. I'm African American, so Egyptian, still African American.
Yeah.
Change that, but really I wouldn't change too much of that piece because from my experience, my life experience, at least she did not just focus on one man. Like in the beginning it says white boy, but then later on the description is of black man.
Right.
So that kind of made me feel comfortable with it because I've gone through crap with both of them anyway.
Oh, okay, I guess I'll go. In terms of my piece, I wouldn't change a damn thing. Because when you get the submissions, there's like a little bio on top that talks about the writer. And it sounded, everything that was on there was me already, before I even read the piece. And I was like, was this written for me? Like, what's going on here? And once I read the entire thing, like, I bawled my eyes out. Because it's just like, there really never was an opportunity for me to be myself in anything. And to see yourself reflected in something that just like randomly got sent to you. This one opportunity that might not have even happened if one of our mutual friends couldn't do the project. Like, I wouldn't even be here. So it was really crazy and intense. And in terms of the piece, it was already so much of what I was going through that I don't think that there's anything that I would change. I have one brother. Maybe that's it.
Well, for my piece, I played a Mexican woman, and I'm Dominican and Salvadorian, so I would definitely add more comedy with the words that we use and stuff like that. That's about it because, you know, and probably more curses because I just love to curse. It just makes it funny. I don't know, but yeah, that's about it.
So when I did my sister's piece, I did it for a fundraiser earlier in the year, and I was reading it. And it's so weird because like this is like a more intense version of what you felt looking at it. Because every time it says dad, I'm like, that's my dad. I'm like, dad had a suitcase and that was it? What? Like, you know, like crazy stuff like that. And feeling like kind of weird about that, but I definitely don't share the same experience. But what I did, it's not really an answer to the question, but it's just like, when I was reading it, it made me cry that people were making my sister feel that way. And I was like, oh my God, these people are doing this to my baby sister, like making fun of her. And like, not that I haven't experienced xenophobia and racism as an Asian person, but like imagining how she feels and hearing how she feels exactly, it was just so intense for me. Like thinking about her looking in the mirror and because of colorism, picking at her eyes and wishing for freckles when she's beautiful, just like that broke my heart that this society is making my sister feel that way. And it was like very personal for me. Sorry, that was not answering your question. Was that it? Was that it? Okay, yeah, does anyone have any more questions? Annie.
What is your hope for the dissemination of this? I mean, I think everybody who lives in this country should see it. And what are your plans and expectations?
Yeah, so we've actually been touring colleges and universities since the very first In Full Color. We've done NJCU several times now. We've gone to Bronx Community College. We've gone to Rutgers University in Newark. We've done Hunter. We went to University of Connecticut. So we're making the moves. We've also performed at festivals and things like that, but we obviously want to take this further. And the main focus right now is fundraising, so thank you for bringing that up. I did not pay her to do that. But if you guys are so moved by this, please, if you can make a donation, it's tax deductible. We are fiscally sponsored by Fractured Atlas. You can just go to our website, thinkinginfullcolor.com. And if you're like, I don't have like $100 to shell out, first of all, any amount helps, but also you can buy our merch, you can come to our shows, all of that helps support the program. And all of that money, Alicia knows because she's in the touring troupe, she's in the touring troupe too, like all of that money really does have an application. It goes towards paying actresses, so everyone here is performing because they want to be here. But our program does also create paid opportunities for artists. So we pay our actresses, we pay writers if somebody is performing a piece written by someone else. We spend money on travel, and I take a little bit of money sometimes because I do a fucking lot. We are on a really tight budget, but I really just want to pay my actresses more. I want to be able to travel further. And to do all of that, to go to all the places that we want to go, we do need a lot of community support. So, if we can only do this like once a year right now, but I would love to be doing more programming, and we're working on it throughout the year. So if you haven't yet, you should definitely join our mailing list. There's a list by the concessions, and you can just continue coming out to events, and that will totally support us. Because we really need it, It's hard running a business. It's hard being a woman of color owning a business, but also just being a small business owner in general is really difficult. And I guess really quickly, I want to thank our two board members right now, besides myself. They're both here today, Benida Rodman. We were talking about our first year. Alicia was like, all right, we got to sit down and look back at the past year. And I was like, we haven't even been through a full year yet, and we've already come such a long way. I was like, actually, our anniversary is in November. And I was like, they have worked so hard to make everything happen. And a lot of the women who are part of this cast and who are part of our touring troupe also give so much time. We have some alumna here who are just constant supporters. We have there's an Alicia and an Alicia and an Alicia, right? It's so hard. My mind always wants to say the wrong Alicia. Alicia Wright, she was from the first season as a writer. Narissa Tutivin was also our adorable concessions vendor, and she was from the first season. I can't see if there's any more. There she is. And now we're doing our here. This is a true sisterhood and family, and we want to keep it growing, and we want to keep our message going out. So if you can support us, please do.
Yeah, and tell someone, if you have a friend or someone you know that is going through something, or you think they're going through something, you don't know how to tell them, just be like, hey, you should check out this program, and come to the show. And if you want to relay a message to someone who don't know how,
or even ask them to contribute a piece of their own.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more voices out there.
Absolutely, yeah. Joining our mailing list also is a way to be informed about open calls for submission, so you can submit yourself, or you can share it with people who might. Because we're looking for new voices all the time.
And art submissions, right?
And art submissions and music submissions. We're looking for, we've had dance before. We got it. So I think we're running out of time. But thank you so much to everyone for coming by. Please stop by the concession stand and grab some things, sign the mailing list, and continue showing us your love.
Thank you.